Hi, I'm Rowan.
And I'm Lou, and together we're Kiioto.
And this is The Hardest Part.
Hello, and welcome to The Hardest Part, the show that unravels the stories behind the most challenging songs ever written. I'm Kieron Banerji, and joining me in the studio on this episode is Kiioto. When I spoke with the band about their song Wild Geese, they explained why it was the perfect choice for The Hardest Part. The song presented a significant challenge on multiple levels. It's about navigating the complexities of staying true to themselves as individuals within a relationship, all while living and working together. But beyond that, Wild Geese also became a deep exploration of their writing process. Both members are incredibly strong-willed and passionate about their creative input, which meant that bringing together their often differing perspectives could be as challenging as it was inspiring. The song took shape over 3 months, during which they dropped it several times, but never fully let it go. It was a journey of balancing their individual strengths and finding a way to blend their creative forces into something that truly resonated with both of them. Make sure to stay tuned to hear Wild Geese in full at the end of this episode. But before that, here's my chat with Kiioto.
The subject matter of the song became part of the process of the song. Because obviously we're in a relationship with each other in a romantic, is that the way to put it, relationship, and we work together, and that's the best of both worlds. It's a wonderful thing, and it can be challenging, and we're both very strong-willed, and we're both, when we get creative, we're quite
Independent,
and so the subject matter of the song is about managing that within a relationship. You know, that in any relationship you've got that interplay between commitment and freedom, you know, and how do you work that in any relationship? You know, you want to give each other the space to be yourselves, and at the same time you want to make sure that you hold each other and meet each other in all these different ways.
of course. That's why a song that's probably got 12 lines in it took us 3 months to write. 3 or 4 or 5 months. We just kept coming back to it and distilling it and then unpicking it, then restitching and unpicking it.
We got stuck so many times on it, didn't we?
We probably wrote 4 or 5 different songs between the first line of this song and the last line of the other.
Yeah.
So originally I came to Lou with the title Goldfinch because I'd seen Don Tartt's book called The Goldfinch, and at the beginning of that book, as far as I remember, someone goes into an art gallery and is looking at a picture of a goldfinch, and it's a massive explosion, and it's how people's lives can change, kind of on the turn of something so quickly. Someone's life can change for the better or for worse, in this case, the worse. Lou and I always want to challenge each other. We don't want to just write pop songs. Everything has to have a bit of we've done years of writing pop songs. So we wanted to have something with a different... Of course, if I go to Lou with a song called Goldfinch, it's like, well, how am I going to write a song about a goldfinch? Well, it's not about goldfinch. So then we talked about it, changing the name to... something
you said Wild Swans.
Wild Swans.
And then we realised there was another book about that.
Amy Tan.
Yeah.
And then Lou came back with Wild Geese.
Well, Wild Geese was kind of the turning point, I think, because we'd started to write the verses, and you'd come with the piano melody for the verses and the chorus. But, you know, again, these kind of songs, it's a ballad, really. And it's really hard to kind of navigate between...
Naff.
Being a bit schmaltzy, and, you know, so you want to keep a sort of edge to it, and I really struggle with writing choruses. I'm fine writing verses. You're better at choruses, aren't you?
I'm better at choruses.
We just kept putting this to one side because I just couldn't come up with a chorus that worked with what we had so far. And then it was the wild geese, the sort of whole metaphor of wild geese migrating. And just that idea of, you know, giving someone, just go if you need to go and do what you need to do. and I'll give you my blessing. And that's the whole lyric of the chorus is, while geese fly north just before the spring, here's the gold to sow into your wings. It's just like, take me with you in whatever token you can or whatever.
It's a beautiful lyric.
Thank you.
You sort of had the concept, you had the name, the title of the song. How was the song developed from there on out?
We go back to the explanation that it took months to write. I kind of remember hearing about, sometimes you read about a painting and someone said they did it over 3 or 4 years, and you go, oh, how can you do a painting over 3 or 4 years? Until you come to write a song or paint yourself, and you realise that you've got to it's like slow roasting a chicken.
Very slow roasting.
Yeah, it's kind of...
There'll be nothing left.
Or a broth.
It'd be bone dry.
Yeah, exactly. But, you hurry through something and you don't kind of... It's like rolling something around your mouth and letting it develop. You're pushing it, you're coaxing bits out of it, and you're kind of directing it. And I suppose when people write books, the characters start to become their own characters and talk to the writer about, they often take own directions. And I guess that was there's an element of in our songwriting about that. Lou will come to me with a lyric idea, I'll start the music under, or vice versa, or we... Yeah, so it was just a slow evolution, really, and we just didn't want to write just a traditional love song over ballady chords. And
also quite a lot of the process for us is about stripping stuff away as well. So, there's one song particularly that Rowan wrote a musical sort of bed for the song, and we wrote the song and then took all the music out. This one isn't quite that extreme, but there is on the record actually you took all the piano out of the beginning and then so we basically, it starts with just the strings and then the piano enters. But this session we switched.
For this podcast we switched it. It's piano and the strings coming later.
Listeners have that to look forward to.
Yeah. I mean, what's the point of doing the same thing exactly the same way? Then you go back to just doing a pop record, and we kind of really want to challenge ourselves. Back to the writing of this song, we don't. Sometimes I wish we could take the easy route, but we're just not easy route people.
I found the afterlife, looking for the door. Hardly it was there before.
I'm really interested in this concept of creative partnerships, and I think it'd be great to sort of get your opinion and thoughts on, how to skirt around writing music together when sometimes the subject matter could be about the other person. How do you write a love song with someone when it's about someone?
Well, you just don't write it about one of your exes.
In our situation.
Yeah. So she's not going to write about Paul McCartney, and I'm not going to write about Linda McCartney.
Okay, yeah. I won't talk about my podcast.
No. I think that's probably the best territory. It's, oi, who's that about? It's kind of, when she's writing about someone who's 6'2" and I'm 5'6", it's like, that's not about me, is it?
Hang on a minute.
Yeah. No, I think the bizarre thing is when we got together musically and in a relationship at the same time. So we don't know...
we weren't going to write music together.
No, we decided we weren't going to write music, but she had a piano, Lou had a piano in her kitchen. So on the very first time I went round to her house, I sat at the piano. So it was, everything kind of evolved at the...
And we kept thinking, no, we shouldn't work together now. We're just, no, it's not a good idea. And then it just, with the songs started to come, and it just was just like, we can't not do this,
Right. We'd both given up.
Yeah.
We'd both stopped doing music, basically. Yeah. I mean, we'd do the occasional gig or something.
You were writing a novel, weren't you? I was doing a poetry MA.
And we just, it's kind of, we felt as though we'd said everything we'd wanted to say in music, because we weren't getting any kind of fresh impetus there was no challenge left anymore. I mean, we'd kind of achieved so much more than I guess other people have achieved, that why just carry on doing the same thing again? That's kind of, you stop growing. But we kind of, that kind of evolved something completely different. A lot of it was to do with the music Lou was playing me at the time. It was different to what I listened to, and that really kind of meant I had to rewire my brain in the way I play it and as a musician. And there again, it took me back to being in my 20s, when you're just chomping at the bit and everything's new.
But going back to the thing about relationship, I think it is challenging, especially for us, because, well, for people who are in a romantic relationship as well as working.
Romantic relationship?
I think we are.
I think you said it at the beginning of the show. Yeah.
It's official. No, I mean, the thing is, when you're in a band with people, it does get a bit, it can get too close and too familial, in the sense of, God, I need a break from these
it's
people.
It's not official. It's like a forced marriage if it's someone of the opposite sex.
But we have the marriage as well,
Yeah.
So it's kind of like we don't have any time off from this, which luckily we love it. So, but we have to kind of force ourselves to
literally
switch
from
off
the way we
and just have a sort of watershed in the evening.
Yeah,
because
that's one of the...
It's like, otherwise we're just 24/7 Kyoto, So
I'm not allowed to talk about music after...
You can talk about music, but not business.
Well, the thing is, it's all these days, as a musician, you end up doing everything.
Yeah.
The old kind of format of, you've got a record company and you've got the publisher and you just end up doing everything, the promo and everything else, which is wonderful, exhausting, but going back to the whole thing in a relationship, we need to watershed.
Yeah.
And so we tend to go walking on Hampstead Heath, and I'm not allowed to talk about music. Then we focus on all the funny dogs that people are walking. What do we call it? Doggy hour.
It's a dog watch.
Dog watch, that's it. Dog watch. And then
dogs in funny coats.
Yeah, and then we just completely get... And that's a great way of taking our mind off it, because it's down to the simplest, funniest thing.
It's nice that you have that, actually. I was speaking yesterday to a couple, and they're both chefs, and they're completely polar opposite in the way they sort of think and talk about work. And one person can just switch off, close their eyes, go to bed, and then she'll get into bed and she'll be like, what do you think about those flavour pairings? And then we'll get into bed and go to bed, and then it leaves the partner
that's us.
That's exactly what we do. Exactly what we do. I'll say something and then get kind of be ready to sleep, and Lou will be, oh, well, I can't sleep now, kind of. I'm thinking at chord progressions and vocal rhymings.
Yeah.
When the subject matter of the songs, isn't about your relationship, does the creative process change? Is there a different way you approach writing when it's about your relationship? So
listening to Lou's old songs or my old songs, they're a lot more about relationships. These songs, it's, again, there's a song about the opioid crisis in America called Painkiller on the album. There's a song about quilt makers in Alabama. So we choose a subject that is going to challenge us. Otherwise, it's very easy.
There's a song about Bill Evans, the jazz pianist. There's one about Mary Anning, the Dorset Victorian fossil hunter. So we tend to, I guess the thing is, I think because we don't tend to focus on our relationship so much in our songs, as Rowan said. I mean, a lot of my old songs were just so kind of based around emotions and stuff like that. And I don't know, I think because we've got a real grounding of our relationship, we can kind of look outwards and kind of look at lots of really diverse subject matters, and that makes it more interesting.
Maybe when one's secure in a relationship, you don't need to write about your relationship so much. So when you're in a relationship that you're not so secure, or you're not living with someone, or they're difficult, maybe
searching for something.
You search for something and you explore that. Not you, but one explores that in a relationship where...
So this is, I mean, Wild Geese was the closest I think on the album that we get. Oh, well, the sea as well.
And Hem.
Yeah, I mean, there's kind of songs that kind of tip a nod to our dynamic, but I think also we don't get into the super personal in them, because it would feel too exposing, and
airing
a lot
your
of that
things
stuff
in
is very
public, yeah.
private, you know. So,
Of course.
so we kind of, you know, there might be elements of it, but we touch into more universal, you know.
And wild geese fly north just before the spring. Here's the goal to sow into your wings.
You mentioned sort of when you were writing the song, you were flip-flopping for a while, and that it got scrapped at times, and then you came back to it, and you kept on coming back. What were the main obstacles that were sort of getting in your way, and sort of how did you overcome them?
God, the obstacles for writing a song are kind of manifold. It's kind of, you hit the wall, you have a really good lyric idea, and how do you develop that without being cheesy? How do we, I suppose, going back to the title, Goldfinch, how it started off was Goldfinch and now is Wild Geese. How do we satisfy my idea? When I come up with an idea and I give it to Lou, you know, that's my baby. It's like handing your child over.
Yeah.
She kind of genetically engineers my baby and gives it back to me. And I said, I don't like that. He had brown eyes.
It's not my child.
No, it's not my child. She goes, well, make it your child. And it goes back. And so that the problem's, where do you start? It could be, you know, you have to catch us in the right mood as each other. You have to catch us, one of us may be going through a creative 2 weeks, the other one's going through a kind of dry 2 weeks. One of us is in a mood where we want to write something funky, and the other one's in a mood where we want to write a ballad. It just goes on and on. And I think that the secret to it is to, because I've been in situations where I've got to write an album in 2 weeks, and you just an idea, you commit it and you move on and on and on and on. And it's a horrible process. And what was really nice about this is when you have an obstacle, it's kind of, you can rest with the problem and wait for the answers to come to you rather than forcing an answer.
You've just summed it up there. You wrote an album in 2 weeks once. That's just like, I beyond me. Not even, you know, you work really fast quite often.
I hated it.
No, I know, but it needs must. But I couldn't write an album in 2 weeks. There's no way I could. I'm very slow in the way that I work, and you're
the way you do everything.
I love those. So every artistic process is different, right? Yeah. There's that story I love. It's like, whether it's true, I don't know, but it was like Leonard Cohen and Bob Dylan were at the Chelsea Hotel, and they met in the bar, and one showed them Hallelujah, the other showed them Lay Lady Lay, and one took 12 years and one took 12 minutes.
Which is which?
12 years is Hallelujah.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
So I'm Leonard Cohen.
Yeah.
So there's the Zen connection as
Well,
well.
isn't
But
there that Beatles song that's just come out?
that's just
the
been
last
finished.
Beatles song that is to ever be released was released a couple of months ago, and it's got John Lennon's voice on. They just could not finish the song.
It, but didn't
30,
they
40,
finish
50
it with
years.
AI, which is a bit
They finished
weird.
it, yeah.
They finished some parts of it with artificial intelligence, didn't they?
Yeah, so that was, you know, there you go. We're doing really quick.
But I quite often get
really quick.
stuck. I get stuck with songs, and I think this song was especially like that. It was just like...
But it wasn't
I just
50
got-
years.
No, it wasn't that long. But, you know, it just so many times, it was just like, it's not going to make it to the album. It's just not. And then you just kind of...
And that's difficult for me because I've written most of my input. So it's like, you know, it's pressure on Lou to, well, I've delivered. Surely you can see what I'm trying to write. So that, again, that's another challenge. But we embrace
And you
it.
have so many ideas, and I'm just kind of like, I'm very, I just...
I'll write probably 6 backing tracks a day.
And that's quite daunting for me.
Terrifying, isn't it?
Because I'm just like, oh shit, I'm never going to be able to keep up here. But we make it work, you know. It's just like, I think it's that yin and yang thing.
I just
It's like,
batter you with music until you just think the quickest way is just
to finish something.
Yeah, swap me away with lyrics.
I love that. So our audience is about to hear a stripped back version of the song. While they're listening to the track, is there anything you want them to specifically listen out for?
I think for me, so often with music, and particularly songs like this, it's the space there that makes the song. It's almost like the moments of stillness in there between the music and the lyrics. And, you know, I think this song is probably a good example as well of, you know, for me, when I quite often writing lyrics, I don't know what I'm writing about until it's finished, or, you know, and so I'd love people to kind of close their eyes and just feel into the space of it, and, you know, what it means to them, you know, because there's so many interpretations of a song like this. And I know we've talked a lot about the meaning, but I think the thing is, you let your songs go out into the world and they mean different things to different people. So, and there's plenty of space for people to be able to, you know, feel into what it means for them, really.
I found the afterlife, looking for the door. Hardly realized it was there before. You see, I thought I was locked in a gorgeous gilded cage. Here you came and dropped your existential rage. Your existential rage. And wild geese fly north just before the spring. Here's the goal to soar into your wings. And wild geese fly north just before the spring. Here's the goal to soar into wild geese fly north just before the spring. Here's the gold to sow into your wings.
Make sure to subscribe and follow The Hardest Part wherever you get your podcasts. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and all other major platforms. This episode of the show was recorded in the Thin White Duke studios in London's Soho. It was recorded by Max Walker and is mixed and produced by myself. Additional videography is by Giovanni Almonte. Thanks for tuning in.